What's going on, y'all? I'm here to talk about these awesome changes for the Farigiraf and Girafarig line. Before I get into explaining the type changes or the ability choices or anything like that, or what all those moves do, before I explain any of that stuff, if you're a new viewer, shout out to you. Welcome to my channel. I appreciate you clicking on the video. Don't click off. I know it might not be what you were expecting if you were anticipating some type of competitive analysis, but stay tuned. It's pretty cool. For all my returning viewers, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming back. And yeah, make sure you drop a like, all that basic stuff. Leave a comment when you're done or now, multiple comments if you want. And yeah, for those new viewers, if you're new here, shout out to you again. Pause the video and give the description a little read. There is a lot of basic bullet point information about how the ROM hack is balanced and how it's supposed to be played and stuff. So that'll answer a lot of your questions as for what the hell is going on your screen right now, because I'm sure you probably have many if this is your first video of mine that you're ever looking at, or your first hearing of any of my ROM hacks ever. Yeah, with that out of the way, Farigiraf, Girafarig. So, normal Dark, Girafarig fits way better than a normal Psychic. That's my hot take of the day. That's it for the video. Thank you for listening. I'm kidding, obviously, but I do think it genuinely does fit better. To me, so I think normal Dark with Psychic Surge is really cool, but even outside of the fittingness aspect of it, it's cool to differentiate the two of them from each other, right? Because I like a lot of the time when Pokemon can evolve, I like when it's an option or like a choice in regards to like the typing changing or your abilities changing or whatever it is. I mean, I have a lot of that in this ROM hack. A lot of Pokemon, and I mean a lot, are like options to be kept over their evolution, and Girafarig is no exception to that rule. I think it's cool. It just gives you more flexibility and freedom because the game is intended to be played team locked. The fact that you have kind of two Pokemon slots in one in a weird way. Obviously, you can't turn it back, but it's still kind of like 2 in 1. But not outside of that, it also does fit well in my opinion because, so for me, here's how I see it. This little head thing is dark and psychic, but it's dark. It's dark first, psychic second to me. That's my personal take on it. Obviously, you could disagree with that because I know that the psychic energy comes from the head. I'm aware of that, the little head on the back. And then the reason it's normal type is literally just because this is a regular ass draft. It's normal type. That's the normal typing. Dark Psychic also fits Girafarig okay, but to me it fits less. Meanwhile, Farigiraf, his whole thing is like the head takes over, it becomes all, and you could argue, okay, well, why isn't Farigiraf Dark Psychic and then Girafarig is normal Psychic, and that's a decent take, but then you don't get that triple stab with that Psychic Surge, so it's less cool. Normal Psychic into Dark Psychic would have been an option, though. You could even argue that makes more sense, and I wouldn't disagree with you in terms of pure flavor. But then in terms of ability slots, like, what, am I going to give him fucking Dark Aura? Like, that sucks. That's ass. It's a 30% boost. It's just, I mean, actually, to be fair, so is Psychic Surge now, but Psychic Surge still has Expanding Force, and it gives you that immunity to Priority, which is the main utility of it, right? And of course, that Expanding Force is super early on, just to encourage the use of Psychic Surge, because I did give them an incredible boosting ability in Instinct. The reason I gave them that is because they have 2 heads. It's the same reason I gave it to shit like Scovillain, right? Instinct in general is a very vaguely fitting ability on purpose to be able to apply to multiple Pokemon, and these guys are, semi-bulky. I mean, Farigiraf is very bulky. Girafarig is semi-bulky, pretty bulky with Violite, and semi-fast, and Farigiraf is only fast with Scarf, but in-game Choice Scarf is an incredible item to abuse, and 70 base speed with a Choice Scarf is hitting like, I think 112, 113, 114 base speed. Yeah. 111? Yeah. Like 112, 113. Yeah, you outspeed base 113 Pokemon with 70 base speed at +1. So you're very fast with Farigiraf with a Choice Scarf to get some fast kills, and then of course you have very good natural bulk to make up for the fact that you don't have any resistances as a Psychic Dark type, and you have 2 immunities to both Psychic and Grass, so that's really good. With Sap Sipper, of course, you have that immunity. In this ROM hack, you can switch your ability whenever you want to, so immunity abilities like that are very useful to switch when you need them. Not to mention you do get an attack boost too, so it kind of makes up for losing out on Instinct or Psychic Surge for that boost. So Sap Sipper is an immunity, Psychic Surge is a boost and an immunity in one, and of course that level 35 Expanding Force really encourages the use of it, because Instinct Psychic is weaker than Psychic Surge Expanding Force early on in the game, for example. Once you get shit like Psycho Break and Psycho Boost, then obviously Instinct is even stronger, but it definitely encourages Psychic Surge for Psychic Stab with Expanding Force that early. That's why I gave it so early. And then Girafarig gets that pseudo third stab, despite only being a 30% boost from Expanding Force. From terrain, it's because Expanding Force becomes a 120 base power move, right? So very, very good in terrain. Makes them very useful and versatile. And then, yeah, Sap Sipper on both of them. Dark Normal with Sap Sipper is immune to what? Ghost, Psychic, and Grass? That's fucking great, it's very, very useful. Speaking of the Ghost immunity, Personally, I would keep Girafarig up until I beat Rhyme on Teamlocked, because Rhyme is going to be such a cheesy fight. The level that Rhyme is depends on which path you take, so she can be anywhere from 21 to 60. So, you know, depending on the path you're in. And of course, if you have other normal types, you can evolve. It really depends on your other teammates, your personal preferences, which are the designs you like better. It's really up to you at the end of the day. You're not gonna like wipe because you evolve. I mean, you evolved. The only thing I'd be worried about is Rhyme. That's the only matchup, like super matchup fishy fight, and having that immunity is really, really helpful for her, because she's gonna be so cheesy as a double battle, and having all this, you know, last respects crap going on. When you'll see when we eventually get to the trainers, but yeah. Overall, that's the main reason I would keep Girafarig, and of course it is faster, and it is tanky, but it's not nearly as tanky as Farigiraf because of that big-ass HP stat, which I do try to base HP more on size. Not entirely, it's never going to be 1-to-1. I'm definitely a lot less anal about it than I was in Sweltering, but if applicable, I like for big-ass Pokemon to have big HP stats, and in this case, Farigiraf is obviously a huge draft, so giving it a big HP stat is really fitting to me. And then it's also, I mean, again, the fact that it has no resist is more than made up for just with the raw natural bulk. And then, of course, it is very fast with Choice Scarf. It's also got a guaranteed sleep move, which is really, really useful. That's another reason to evolve it, because you get that exclusive move, Mesmerize, which I see because of the whole eye in-game when it animates. It looks like the artwork right here. Like, when it uses a special attack, its head closes and its eyes start glowing, and it looks super sick. So that's personally why I gave it that eye tech. And then, of course, it's got high horsepower. It's also got glare for that reason, by the way. That's why I gave it glare, because of the head, the little evil head. Topsy-Turvy is obviously a very, very fitting ability for them. They don't have Contrary anymore from the Sweltering because number one, well, first of all, Malamar exists, and I want them to be Psychic Dark as Farigiraf, because I think they should have always been Psychic Dark, personally. I could have kept them both normal psychic and like, I don't know, man, or like normal psychic evolved into normal dark with psychic surge or some weird shit like that. But I don't know. I don't really like Contrary anyways in this ROM hack because of how busted it is and how one note and boring and spammy it is. I'm not a fan of it. Obviously, there's still gonna be. I think there's about 5 Pokemon planned to have it, but that's more out of necessity or like there's nothing else that fits. That's good late game, that type of thing. But in this case, you know, these abilities are great and very fitting as well. Instinct is incredibly fitting again because of that whole 2-head thing they got going on. So I think that's super, super cool to give them that instinct to boost either one of their stats as a mixed attacker because of that double head gimmick they have going on. At one point I considered expertise because of the 2 heads, but instinct is way cooler and also fits a little bit better in my opinion. So, and it's also a bigger boost, 50% boost as opposed to 25%. However, instinct of course depends on what you're sending in. However, with Move Relearner, instinct is like there's no drawback. Just switch your, switch your moveset around to tailor to whatever boost you're getting for that boss fight, depending on whatever you're switching in on that boss fight. So that's how it works. It's very, very useful and good, and I just love these changes, man. High horsepower, as you can read, is a very cheesy flinch type of move. Very, very strong tool, level 50, pretty late, but still pretty early, honestly. You still got about, I think, maybe 20 boss fights from level 50 to the end of the game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, yeah, like 20 almost, I think 21 or something. Tons and tons of coverage options, as you can see. I mean, Girafarig already got tons of coverage in vanilla, but I just added some other logical, kicking type stuff like Blaze Kick, Megaton Kick. I see Wild Charge and Supercell Slam because they already get access to Thunderbolt and stuff, so, sure. They've got priority in the form of Night Burst, Influx, Sucker Punch, First Impression. They got tons of utility. They've got Reliable Recovery and Recover and Wish. Wish especially being good on Farigiraf because of that big HP. There's no more Protect, but it's good for team support stuff. You've got Mind Pulse, which drops attacking stats by -1. Same with Dismal Cry. Those are the same thing, just different types. Glare, like I said, drops... I mean, I don't know if I said that yet this video, but it drops attack and special attack and paralyzes, so that's super nice. Scary Face is dropping defenses by 1 and -2 speed. So tons of great utility stuff that you can take advantage of. Again, that Mesmerize is great. You can do like Room Service Trick Room on Farigiraf especially, but even Girafarig, that's pretty good. But especially Farigiraf because of the 70 with the Room Service Trick Room, you outspeed pretty much everything, and you've got that Instinct, and you've got tons of powerful boosts. You can use Psychic Surge to ignore priority. It's such a versatile mon. You've got high base power moves at the end of the game like Brutal Swing, Psycho Break. Psycho Break is CC, Psychic CC. Brutal Swing is Dark type Double Edge. I totally see Brutal Swing because they use their neck, drafts, like they slam their necks around to fight. Farigiraf's decks even alludes to that, I believe. Yeah, whips its long neck around. So it's also why I gave them Whiplash, which is stab on Girafarig, super good there. Very straightforward overall. I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's just they got tons of coverage. Slow teleport, bulky teleport with the Violite, or just bulky Farigiraf. Agility is obviously very good. Tons of coverage, like I said. Move Relayer makes this guy so much more versatile, so much less restricted in what it can run. You can totally switch up your set every single boss fight to tailor exactly what you need, which is awesome. Overall, that's pretty much it. You could even do some like power trick cheese if you really wanted to try it, I guess, on Farigiraf, but it's a bit gimmicky. But you could try it for sure. Thank you for listening. Let me know in the comments down below if you made it to the end of the video. And I'll be back for more coming up. Oh, I mean, you guys can gather what it is. I didn't cover this earlier in the video. Semi-pseudo, yeah, that's why its BSD is so high. There are quite a few 2-stage semi-pseudos and 3-stage semi-pseudos, and if you're listening to the end of the video, you already know all this by now, so I'm not going to waste my breath. Also, I'm bulk recording a bunch, so I'm just going to end here. Thank you for listening. Yeah, again, last thing I'll reiterate is that it's a genuine choice between Girafarig and Farigiraf. You've got the utility of Farigiraf, the fact that it doesn't need to hold a Violet to be bulky, the different typing, the Mesmerize, the Stab Psychic Surge. Meanwhile, Girafarig is faster, has that Ghost immunity as opposed to resistant neutrality, which is what Farigiraf is to Ghost. So that's a huge difference for Rhyme specifically. I would say that's a huge, huge difference. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back for more coming up. Peace.